everybody. This is Joseph P. Farrell with news and views from the Nefarium on Thursday, July 20th, 2023. A hot scorcher where I live today, folks. Just some quick housekeeping before we dive right into today's rather unusual story. We are not scheduling a vid chat for tomorrow. Please remember there's no vid chat scheduled for tomorrow. A good thing, too, folks, because as you know, I've been in this very bad weather cycle. It seems like all year long, ever since spring. Normally we're out of it by now, but they're predicting again rain tonight and tomorrow night, and so on and so forth. And these are the pop-up thunderstorm variety that can go severe. So good thing I didn't schedule a vid chat for tomorrow because I might have to end up rescheduling it. So anyway, just remember, keep your eyes and ears posted for schedule changes, but I will have the vid chat posted this weekend so everybody can get their questions and comments in. Now, I want to talk about an unusual story. I normally don't talk about these kinds of stories, but this one I have to. And I normally don't even talk a great deal about the country of South Africa other than in connection to the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And again, we're going to be talking about South Africa in that connection today, but it's going to be a rather weird connection. I want to read you a few paragraphs, very short paragraphs from a very short article that I will link for you that appeared on July 11th, and then I want to read a few paragraphs from another article about a story that appeared just yesterday. And I'm going to give you my speculation about what I think it might mean. The first story from July 11th is this: Johannesburg earthquake is the strongest in 6 years. And here we go. Quote, a moderate earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 5.0 was reported in Johannesburg in the early hours of Sunday morning and has been confirmed by seismologists at the United States Geological Survey. The earthquake was also later confirmed by South Africa's Council for Geoscience. According to earthquakelist.org, a resource for earthquakes happening across the planet, the earthquake was shallow and struck 17 kilometers underground. And skipping to a couple of more paragraphs from this short article. Various social media reports indicate that the quake was felt by residents across Johannesburg. Earthquakes of this strength are not so common in the region, but it's not the first time. This is the strongest earthquake to hit since April 3rd, 2017, when a 5.2 magnitude earthquake hit 148 kilometers further west-southwest. An even stronger magnitude 5.4 earthquake struck on August 5th, 2014. So in other words, these earthquakes are not all that typical for South Africa, but on the other hand, they're not unknown. So make of that story as the context for this next article. Make of that story what you will, because my high-octane speculation of the day really depends on this story. And I'm going to read the whole thing because it's very short. And I'm linking for you on this News and Views quite a few Twitter pictures and so on, other articles for you so that you can look at the actual pictures and see what's going on here. Plus, I am linking on the News and Views feed a statement by South Africa's natural gas company, Egoli. All right, so here we go. The heading is Chaos in Joburg Central Business District After Gas Explosion in Bree Street. The public has been urged to stay away from Bree Street in the Joburg Central Business District following an underground gas explosion. According to Johannesburg Metro Police Department, the explosion occurred between Bree and Simmons Streets in the city center. The area is a scene of chaos on Wednesday evening, with eyewitnesses taking to social media to share shocking video footage and images of large and deep cracks on the road. Damaged and overturned cars can also be seen, and dozens of stationary minibus taxis. According to the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department, emergency services are on the way to assess the situation. However, no fatalities have been reported as yet. Traffic is at a standstill in the Johannesburg Central Business District following a major explosion on Bree Street. Some taxis are overturned on the road, with law enforcement trying to close off the area. The place still smells of gas, with police looking for any injured people in the area. Bree Street is closed off to traffic, with taxis being directed to a different street. And that's the story. That's it. Now, normally I would not notice stories like this, because normally such events are either accidents or just natural events. However, as most of you know, and I've been talking recently about this whole thing, and blogging for that matter, South Africa is going to play host to the upcoming BRICS Nation Summit in August, just next month, a few days from now. And at this summit, it is rumored that the Russians are going to roll out their proposal to create a currency for the BRICS nations that is going to be gold-backed. In other words, this BRICS summit is another step on the road for the Shanghai Accord nations to dump the dollar as a reserve currency and use a different currency and a different system. And that system, you'll note, is going to be backed by gold. Now, I've warned people about all this talk about gold backing. If you do not have, I'm going to say it again, if you do not have the convertibility of actual physical notes or bearer certificates on demand, be you a corporation, a nation state, or an individual, if you do not have actual convertibility, and if you cannot spend actual bullion as money, then it's all talk. And by the way, I include the recent announcement of Robert Kennedy Jr. about backing treasuries with Bitcoin, which is a colossally bad idea. But again, it's all talk if you are not willing to go and speak specifically and explicitly to the idea of convertibility and how you're going to make convertibility possible. Otherwise, it's all talk. But let's assume, however, that the Russians know this, and of course they do, that the Russian proposal to be discussed at the upcoming BRICS summit includes precisely proposals for how they are going to handle the convertibility issue. If that's the case, then the current dollar reserve system is in huge, huge trouble. Its days are numbered. Most people are already agreeing that the dollar's days are numbered because the United States has weaponized the dollar so much as a component of its foreign policy in the past few decades that it's not even funny, and people are tired of it. Hence the push for an alternative to the dollar on the world financial stage, and an alternative that is at least gold-backed to the extent that it is not pure fiat money. So I'm looking at the events in Johannesburg, particularly with this explosion, and I want you to go look at the explosion on the street, on the pictures and the articles that I've linked for you, and also look at the notification of Egoli, South Africa's natural gas company, which states quite explicitly that that gas company has their natural gas deliberately on very low pressure precisely in order to prevent accidents like this from occurring. And indeed, that notification goes on to tell you that as far as Egoli is concerned, they have detected no leaks in their pipelines, no disruption of any service, and so on and so forth. So the question then becomes, is this a purely natural event or not? And I suspect that we may be looking here at a crystalline example of a quote-unquote natural act of God or of nature that has really been triggered by the use of sophisticated technology in order to send a message to the BRICS summit. Do not go there. Do not attempt to place into existence such a gold-backed currency, or there will be severe consequences. I really do think that the possibility is high, in other words, that we might be looking at a replay of events that we saw happen back in I think around 2007, 2008, and on into the Fukushima disaster, with events like the Indonesian tsunami that Catherine Fitz has talked about so much, when she detected sudden sell-offs of Indonesian sovereign securities a week ahead of the tsunami hitting in Indonesia. And then again, that very strange set of circumstances that I talked about years and years ago with Richard C. Hoagland, of the earthquake in Haiti, and then it being followed up with another earthquake around Farrell, Chile. After that, two quakes that, in my opinion, were entirely engineered because they were strikes at a financial hub, being Haiti, and a strike at a Nazi international hub around Farrell, Chile. So in other words, I think the possibility is we're looking at, with the earthquake a week ahead of time, apparently, if that earthquake was a message, and again, I'm willing to entertain the idea because it was a shallow quake. And everything that I've read about the potential existence of these earthquake engineering technologies, that's the way they operate. They operate shallowly and not deeply. So there's this possibility that we may be looking at a message being sent to the BRICS summit. Now, do I think the BRICS summit is going to change the agenda simply because of this message? No, I don't. What really is going to be interesting is to see exactly what occurs and what that summit says about its activity. I do think it's entirely possible that they might tone down their rhetoric or even delay some of the scheduling of this potential gold-backed BRICS currency. But nonetheless, I don't think that this will be a sufficient deterrent. We'll know if there are other activities like this or of a similar nature that strike the BRICS nations after this summit, depending on what they roll out. Or it may even occur during the summit. Time will tell. But this is an interesting little bit of news. I wanted to share my take on it and alert you to it, and allow everybody to go and look at the pictures from this apparently natural event in Johannesburg, with all of that context that suggests that it might not be a purely natural event. Anyway, that's it for today's news and views, folks. We'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye. God bless.